often when we're thinking about kind of communities, we tend to fixate on a particular kind of identity. And so I was quite interested to hear from you how an intersectional approach may help us to address racism and other forms of oppression within research.
Thank you, Natalie, and thank you to everyone who's joined us tonight. Yes, an intersectional approach is incredibly important as we think about how we can be a bit more anti-racist in research. So I'm sure everyone is well aware of the term intersectionality, which was put forth by Professor Kimberly Crenshaw a while ago in the legal domain to describe different forms can overlap and compound one another, creating these unique experiences of discrimination that can't be explained by just focusing on just one part of a person's identity. I think as human beings, we tend to hold multiple identities. I'm sure everyone here can at least identify 3 different parts of their selves. And with it, each part of it brings its own set of difficulties or privilege. When we focus on just one form of discrimination, so for instance, just focusing on race or social class or disability in research, what we do is we ultimately risk privileging some experiences and marginalizing others, leading to a poor understanding of mental health difficulties in certain populations. And actually, when we have these poor understandings of mental health difficulties in certain groups, particularly those that are marginalized, that then feeds into policy and the practice as well, which then leads into the experiences that people of colour have in general within mental health services. And by ignoring all of the different parts of our identities and the different types of discriminations that we experience, what we do is we essentially leave behind lots of voices that need to be brought to the fore. So for instance, we can focus on just race, but then what about people who are, for instance, disabled and also a Black person or a South Asian person? We've seen this in the COVID-19 pandemic and the fact that lots of people of colour are more likely to be to contract the virus, but also die from it as well. We've seen how when we look at race and gender as well, we see how women and men from different ethnic backgrounds are treated in mental health services. For instance, if we look at Black men, they're more likely to be seen as dangerous within services, and we see South Asian women who are more likely to be dismissed. And adopting an intersectional lens allows us to add that nuance to the work that we do and address the multiple ways in which people can experience discrimination. It allows us to give a voice to those who may be otherwise overlooked, and it allows us to develop richer conclusions that actually reflect the real lives and struggles of people. And by doing so, what it means is we can engage more people in research and in helping us to create better practices and better mental health services to serve people of colour and marginalised communities better.